It's news to me, but believe it or not, some people don't find it fun to know about endless baking experiments to achieve perfection. I know, so today's recipe is going to be super simple, super quick, delicious and nerd-free. Probably. Let's get into it. So I'm going to stick with the classic Levain bakery cookie, which is walnut and choc chip. I've toasted some walnuts in the oven already, and I'm going to break these up into small pieces. And once that's done, I'm going to go on to my choc chips next. And I've got approximately 200 grams here, roughly, of chocolate chips. And I'm going to break these up. These are a little bit too big. I'm going to break these up into little pieces like this. Next, I'm going to chop up some vegan baking butter, and lots of vegan cookie recipes use oil. Now, I won't try and pretend to you that I didn't do a lot of trials on sunflower oil, coconut oil, 2 different types of vegan baking butter, but let me just cut to the chase and say that for the best results for this kind of cookie, you definitely want to use a solid vegan baking butter. And one area where I am going to be nerdy is this butter has to be cold, because next I'm going to beat this with some sugar, and I don't want the butter to melt while that mix is happening. I'm going to mix this for 45 seconds on speed 1. And whilst that's mixing, I'm going to mix my dry ingredients. I'm using white spelt flour, some sea salt, some bicarbonate of soda and some baking powder. And I'm going to stir these through until they're evenly distributed. You see that the sugar's been absorbed by the butter. There's no sugar left at the bottom of the bowl, and that's the time to stop. Next, we're going to add in the dry ingredients and mix again on speed 1 for just 30 seconds until I get a breadcrumb type texture. Next, I'm going to give it a quick stir around to make sure there's no huge lumps in there. That looks pretty good. If I mixed it for any longer, it would start to come together, which I don't want to happen at this stage. So I'm going to check that I've achieved that breadcrumb texture, and that looks good. Next, I'm going to add my additions, my chocolate and my toasted walnuts, and mix again on speed 1 for just 15 seconds. Quick little scrape down, and then finally I'm going to add some almond milk and some vanilla essence, and mix again on speed 1 for just 15 seconds until it comes together. That's about perfect. You know you've mixed it well when there's no sugar or flour at the bottom of the bowl, but it hasn't fully formed one giant dough. It's still quite crumbly and needs a bit of coaxing to come together. So Levain bakery cookies are known for a few things. Firstly, they're really big. We're going to scale these at 170 grams, which is 6 ounces. That's a beast of a cookie. Secondly, they're very rugged and free-form looking, so I'm not going to pat these into a nice circular shape. And thirdly, they're crunchy on the outside and gooey on the inside. So we're going to shape them into a round like this and allow it to flow a little bit in the oven, so the interior is nice and gooey while the outside is lovely and crunchy. And I'm going to sneak a tiny bit of nerdiness in here. You definitely have to chill these. 90 minutes, 2 hours ideally, or at least an hour in the freezer. My cookies have been chilling for almost 2 hours. I've got my oven preheated at 190 degrees C. I've got a baking tray in there which I'm going to bake my cookies on. That's important. And I'm going to bake them for 20 minutes. That's the perfect time for my oven. Now at home, if you want to get nerdy, maybe bake 2 at the same temperature for 20 minutes and see what they like. If you want them a little bit more gooey, then knock a couple of minutes off. If you want them a bit less gooey, then add a couple of minutes on. Then bake the next 2, see what they're like. And by the final 2, you'd have tweaked the temperature and time to be absolutely perfect for your oven. So these have been out in the oven for 10 or 15 minutes. They look real chunky monsters, so it's time to tuck in and see what they're like. That looks nice. Lovely and gooey inside. Can't wait to taste this. Crunchy on the outside, gooey on the inside, super melt in your mouth. They taste a little bit like a molten chocolate chip ice cream. The recipe's in the description. Please make it at home and let me know what you thought. Please like and subscribe this video if you enjoyed it. And if you're not a nerd, I won't be offended if you click off now, because I'm going to squeeze in a little bit of nerdiness at the end. I just couldn't resist. So if you're still watching, you're probably the inquisitive type. So here are a few nerdy nuggets to explain why the recipe is the way that it is. The first thing you may have noticed is there's no direct egg replacing ingredient in this recipe. That's not because I didn't try. I tested aquafaba, I tested pea protein, my favorite for making vegan cakes, a combination of aquafaba and pea protein, my favorite for making vegan brownies, and chia seed, and none of them give better results than just a splash of almond milk. And if you think about it, that's not really surprising. The role of an egg in this recipe is just to provide a bit of moisture to help the batter come together and bind together a little bit. None of the emulsifying or extensibility properties of eggs are really needed in a cookie. Secondly, you may be wondering why there are raisin agents in a product that comes out of the oven lower than when it went in. And I certainly wanted that anyway, so I tested a batch without any baking powder or bicarbonate of soda, and those cookies hadn't flowed at all. So the raisin agents are basically loosening up the batter, making it rise and expand a little bit and helping it flow to give that signature Levain-style texture and appearance. So they were the nutty nuggets on this recipe. I hope you found them interesting. Thanks for watching to the end. I'll catch you in the next video.